Hey guys, so today I'm going to be looking at men reveal creepy things women have done to them. So yeah, let's just get right into the video. Just started dating, showed her a picture of my son. She then asked what I was going to do with him once we had kids. Run. She basically just disregarded his kid like, oh yeah, he's nothing. When we have kids together, that's when you have to care for my kids. Run. That was so smart of him to show her his kids, because then he could know like what kind of person she is and stuff. But then some people fake it until they get married and then they're bad to the kid. How dare they? She showed up at my apartment back in college. She knocked on the door and I didn't answer. It was late, I was tired, and I didn't invite her over. She kept knocking louder and louder. The police arrived and asked her to leave. She left and showed back up about 5 minutes later. She knocked some more and finally gave up. The next morning, I found a human turd on my doormat. Oh my goodness. Did she need to use the toilet? I'm so confused. If she didn't need to use the toilet, she just pooped on his doormat as like a revenge kind of thing. How do you like just poop, you know? Like if she left that as a revenge, how do you poop instantly, you know what I mean? When I was in medical school, a girl 3 years my junior started obsessing over me. Initially it was kinda mild in that I have a crush on you since. She'd ask my friends about me and message me from her friends' accounts. Chalked it up to being young. Then she started to mess with girls that I'm close to, including my sister, telling them that they don't deserve me and that I'm hers. How dare she? Also started hanging out at my neighbor's place and refused to leave until they call me out for some stupid reason and whatnot. And she'd hang out in the neighborhood I live in and pretend that we've bumped into each other on accident. Oh, and I would occasionally post music I like on Facebook or Twitter, and she would post music of her own as a response because she's convinced that all those music I post is for her. She is delusional. Then in my final year, she wrote this 80-page letter in which she professed her love. Oh, and the best part, it's been a few years since then. A few months ago, she started working where I am. The nightmare continues. She still hasn't given up yet? What? Oh my gosh, that is next level being obsessed with someone, honestly. That is scary. I am scared for him. But seriously, 80-page love letter? I can't even write like a 3-page essay. This girl be writing an 80-page letter. Yo. Searched my apartment, phone, camera, computer, and everything else I owned the first time I left her alone in my place because she wanted to know more about me. She ended up creating a version of my personality she interpreted through my things. Wait, how do you create a version of his personality? That sounds creepy. Co-worker at a dinner told me she was leaving her boyfriend for me. Just out of the blue one day. Said it in front of the cooks, manager and 2 customers. Barely knew her. Had worked with her for 4 months on rotating shifts. Minimal actual contact or dialogue between us. Didn't even know her last name. I was pretty rowdy at that time, but I was always quiet at work and I kept to myself. Thought maybe she was screwing with me or her boyfriend was in earshot and was trying to screw with him. Got home that night and she was standing outside my apartment with a suitcase. No idea how she got my address. I told her to go home and she quit the diner the next day. It was super weird. I was dragged into the manager's office and interrogated twice. Tried to explain that I had no clue what was going on. Whoa, what is going on? He didn't even know her that well. And she's just like, I'm leaving my boyfriend for you. That's not how it works, girl. You can't just leave your boyfriend for someone that doesn't like you. Can you imagine leaving your boyfriend for someone that doesn't even know that you existed? You know what I mean? This is almost. Except he knows of her, but doesn't really know her. First date, her, what's your blood type? Me, O positive, Y. Her, good, we can have kids. Wait, what? Does she think she can only have kids with people that are the same blood type? I'm confused. I woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and my girlfriend followed me and sat outside the door to wait for me and I didn't notice. Opening up my bathroom door to see a humanoid figure sitting in the dark by my feet at 3 in the morning scared me. That is scary. Why did she do that? Maybe she needed to use the bathroom too, okay? That is creepy. Girl I dated made a voodoo doll out of her used tampon and my hair shavings that she said she'd use on me if we ever broke up. She buried it inside a lunchbox at the beach and drew a map to find it. She's now a married mother of 2. Ew, that must stink. Yuck. When I was younger, 22, I think I signed up to work an event at the job I was at. I had to work a table with an activity and help these Girl Scouts craft something. So these 2 13-year-olds came up and started making crafts. Then they asked me for my phone number and I told them no. Then they asked my name and I told them no. They constantly asked for both of those and I refused. A female coworker came up and started chatting with me. The girls then asked her for my information and she gave it away. I was pissed, and thinking back, I'm still pissed. One of them started texting me immediately. I told her to stop and she laughed and walked away. I blocked her number. The next day, I got a Facebook friend request from her and blocked it. Then I started getting messages from her. The same coworker gave my work email address and MySpace account. She was very persistent in getting me to talk to her and I hated it. Finally, I messaged her troop leader and told her about what was going on. She just said she'd take care of it and I never heard from her again. I think not just her age, but how persistent she was what creeped me out the most about her. What's wrong with the coworker? Giving them his work email address and MySpace account? That's so odd. Why would she do that? And I'm pretty sure she probably knew that he was uncomfortable. Why did she do that? Trying to get away from my crazy ex. I think she spent her whole life getting what she wanted, and when I broke up with her, it was like she couldn't comprehend it. She spent months turning up to my house, at first knocking on the door like we were still together. After weeks, when I started to ignore the door, she'd be at the glass. I'm playing on my Xbox and suddenly I noticed she's there looking at me. I became so anxious I left the house as little as possible because she'd always be waiting around the corner. She lived 3 miles away but couldn't drive, so must have been walking up or lying to her parents to get dropped off. I'd spend a few days in the house and think she can't possibly be there now. Go out for a walk and she would appear from around the side and grab me so I couldn't go back in. I was so on edge. They should have called the cops. That is such creepy behavior. Eventually, I called the police and gave reports, but she still came back. I stopped going out with friends for a very long time. I am pissed. Months later, I was out for a special occasion and she pickpocketed my phone in a club. I noticed and tried to grab it back, and she wanted to see if I was seeing any girls. She told a bouncer I hit her. He grabs me by the throat, no question asked, and drags me upstairs backwards and throws me out. I couldn't speak for 2 days because of the damage to my throat. What's wrong with her? Honestly, like, do something productive, please. What is she doing? She has so much time. I'd been talking to an old female friend, just normal conversation, but we both liked each other. This girl texted and phoned her, no idea what she said, but that girl never would speak to me again and let me explain. I eventually went to court and showed hundreds of emails and texts to the judge, who gave a restraining order in my favor immediately. Unfortunately, it was only for my address, so it didn't help when I went out in public. There's so much more. It went on for about 9 months, I think. It was pretty awful, but nobody takes it as seriously when it's happening to a male. For sure, if I'd have done to her what she'd done to me, there'd have been extremely serious consequences. And that's what's sad, honestly. Sometimes people don't take it seriously because it's a female doing it to a male, and that's messed up too. 9 months of this, honestly. I was at work when a customer came in. She was overweight and looked pretty slobby. Her hair was a mess, wearing pajamas and mismatched pair of shoes. She came up to me and asked how she looked because she was about to start driving for Uber and wanted to know if she looked presentable. I just said sure and tried walking away, but she wouldn't let me leave. I don't know how we ended up here, but she started talking about how her skin couldn't handle most soaps and had to use some alternative to it. She shoved her arm in my face, telling me to smell it. To see that it didn't smell bad, I politely declined, but she did it again and made it clear she wasn't moving until I smelled her arm. I finally did, said it was fine, walked away as fast as I could. Was definitely one of the most uncomfortable moments I've had with someone. That is creepy. Why would you get someone to smell your arm? Smell it yourself. Seriously? I was at a grocery store with my wife, then 2-year-old daughter, and twin then infant sons. My wife was pushing a double stroller with our daughter and one of the boys in it, and I was carrying the other, who was calmly cuddled up to my shoulder. We're in the produce section when some random middle-aged woman that I had never seen before spots us, makes a beeline towards me, stretches out her hands and tries to take my kid out of my arms. She didn't look at my wife or me, didn't say a word to either of us. She just literally tried to grab my son from me with no prompting or invitation whatsoever. I stepped away from her and shielded my kid. My wife chased her off. Call the cops on her. Sometimes this goes so unnoticed. You know what I mean? Because if someone does it subtly, because you don't see them in a van, you know, dragging the kid to a van kind of thing, it's so subtle. This makes me even more scared for some kids. After 3 or so dates, started talking like we were engaged. When are we going on vacation together? Should we get married in a church? How many would you like us to have? I called it off after that. Yo. 3 dates. You don't get to know anyone in 3 dates. I had a 20-minute conversation with a woman at an airport bar. Pleasant enough conversation. We were both a little flirty and she was attractive and seemed nice. I left to catch my flight, and while I did sort of regret not getting her number, I didn't think much of it again. A couple of weeks later, she showed up at my house banging on the door at 10 p.m. She had Facebook stalked me, which is acceptable, I guess, but because I don't use Facebook very often, I didn't see or reply to her messages. That's not acceptable, it's unacceptable. So like any sane person would do, she figured out where I lived, got on an airplane and came to confront me about the situation. Whoa. Wow. Wait, so someone didn't reply to her and she flew right to them? That's next level. At that point, I was already way over the whole thing, but she was basically stuck in my city for the next 3 days until her return flight, and she didn't have much money, so I kinda had to let her stay with me. It was pretty awkward, but it wasn't all terrible. I mean, she was a nice girl and pretty much a peach, but I was just too weirded out. If she had written me a letter or waited until I saw her messages, then we would probably be married right now. I couldn't get past the crazy stalker behavior though. Yeah, that's so creepy. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are, and as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!